night, federal government says the economy no longer dependent on oil. Governor Adeleke said to light up communities in darkness. Thousands paid last respects to the football legend Pelé. While on the foreign scene, scores died in two car bombs in central Somalia. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the major reports. I am Olupumi Ajiboye Agbola. The federal government has said that the economy is no longer dependent on oil. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, made the declaration at the ongoing public presentation and breakdown of the highlights of the 2023 Appropriation Act in Abuja. She attributed the change to the revenue increase from non-oil sectors, noting that the major non-oil contributors to the country's revenue are agriculture and financial services. The minister, however, said that the country has lost over 6 trillion naira from tax incentives, while government will exempt some industries from pioneer status tax. Mrs. Ahmed hinted that President Muhammad Buhari will sign the Finance Bill 2022 in a couple of days, adding that the approval by the National Assembly will be in the overall interest of the economy. Meanwhile, Nigerians have been reacting to the signing of the 21.83 trillion naira budget by President Muhammadu Buhari that was greeted with the revelation that the National Assembly inserted new projects which inflated the expenditures. Aluchi Amoda has details.
The eighth and final budget of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration bill to wind up on the 29th of May this year was assented to by the President in his office. President Buhari had, during the signing ceremony, announced that the National Assembly introduced new projects into the budget proposal for which it has appropriated 770.72 billion naira. The President also announced that the lawmakers also increased the provisions made by ministries, departments, and agencies by 58.58 billion naira. President Buhari noted that his decision to sign the appropriation bill into law as passed by the National Assembly was to enable its implementation commence without delay, considering the imminent transition process to another democratically elected government.
I believe the next administration will sustain the earlier presentation of the annual appropriation bill.
Reacting to this, a financial analyst, Dr. Yinka Anju, said it is unfortunate that despite the global economic crisis that is affecting different countries of the world and the inflationary trend ravaging Nigeria's economy, the lawmakers still increase the budget based on personal interest.
Statutorily, there is supposed to be increase in budget year in, year out. For three major reasons. There's what is called inflationary trend. The value of money 10 years before now is not the same as now. Two, there's what we call time value of money. The value of money increases over time. The third reason why it will increase is the fact that whether we like it or not, expenditures are increasing due to some nefarious factors. One, COVID-19 issue. We are not out of it. Two, the war going on between Ukraine and Russia has affected a lot of things, so much so that globally things are very expensive and the economy is going down.
Dr. Andrews called on the lawmakers to promote transparency in any step they take concerning the finances of the country, since they were elected to protect the interests of the masses.
We have to prune down on the way we increase the budget. Apart from the statutory ones I've mentioned, it's unfortunate that our budget will be padded year in, year out. Like I said in the beginning, it's not new. So what Buhari is saying, we've had it sometimes before.
Oluchi Amuda, Osbc News.
In time, President Muhammad Buhari has explained his administration's push for the restructuring of the 23.7 trillion naira overdraft loans taken from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president made the appeal to the National Assembly to approve the loan to bond restructuring to stave off huge interest payments while speaking during the signing of the 21.83 3 trillion naira 2023 appropriation bill into law at the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja. According to him, he had no intention to fetter the right of the National Assembly to interrogate the composition of the balance, which can still be done after granting the requested approval. President Buhari, however, warned that if the National Assembly fails to approve the conversion of the overdraft loans into the standardized bonds, the government would pay additional 1.8 trillion naira interest to service the Apex Bank's loans, otherwise known as Ways and Means. He thereby directed the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to engage with the legislature to revisit some of the changes made to the executive budget proposals. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has mandated agencies and parastatals relating to water, energy, rural developments and their regulations to embark on an emergency summit and put up position papers that will rejuvenate the sector. Governor Adeleke said this at the continued briefings of the state ministries, departments and agencies. Saheed Adeboje reports.
The management of Osun Small Town Water and Sanitation Agency, led by the acting general manager, Mrs. Toyin Ashalu, was the first to appear before the committee headed by the governor, Ademola Adeleke. In her briefing, Mrs. Ashalu noted that 30 of the 37 mini water schemes in existence are in moribund condition, a situation which made water supply to rural communities inefficient. She, however, expressed the readiness of the federal government to assist the state financially in the area of water supply to rural communities. Just as the leadership of the Small Town Water Supply Agency did, the Executive Secretary, Water Regulatory Agency, Engineer Rafiu Morokola, and the Coordinating Director, Mr. Daniel Ogunneade, also highlighted the challenges facing their agencies, which they said included but not limited to inadequate funding, lack of infrastructure, and inadequate manpower. Responding on behalf of Governor Ademola Adeleke, his deputy, Prince Kola Adewusi, noted that the present administration remains responsive to activities that will put smiles on the faces of Osun people. Expressing his concern about the devastating condition of water equipment in the state, the governor called for an emergency summit among the leadership of the state water energy sector with the aim of fixing the existing challenges.
You have team of engineers, team of brilliant team here, and they cannot find solutions to all these problems. Is it spare part that are getting bad, or the nature of the problems? Why 30 out of 37 just collapse at the same time like that?
From the office of the deputy governor, this is Saeed Adeboje reporting.
Other developments, Governor Ademola Adeleke has expressed the readiness of his administration to light up some communities living in darkness for over 10 years. He stated this during a briefing which indicated that some communities in Osun State do not have access to electricity due to non-availability of transformers. Again, Saeed Adeboje has details.
The briefing took another dimension today as Governor Ademola Adeleke expressed sadness when the General Manager of Osun Community Development Agency, Mrs. Funmi Abokede, presented him with a long sheet of paper containing names of communities which has no access to electricity supply. Governor Adeleke said that it is of great concern that some people's means of livelihood and social development have been paralyzed for over 10 years, noting that his administration will not joke with steps that will facilitate the comfort of the people of Osun State. The governor assured that before his administration counts 100 days in office, electricity will be restored in the affected communities.
So I said, everybody that wants to live there must have the fear of God. Must have the fear of God. You have electricity, and people among your people that you are governing, they don't have light, they don't have electricity, no roads. I'm not happy about this at all. But I know that this will do something. First, keep praying, and then we talk to our country and see how we can raise the money so that as soon as possible we can start.
The governor also assured the people of the state that their welfare remained paramount to him. imploring them to continue their support for his government. Earlier, the General Manager of Osun Community Development Agency, Mrs. Fumi Abokede, has intimated the gathering on the activities of our agency and its readiness to support the state government in meeting the yearnings and aspirations of the people of Osun. Saeed Adeboje, OSBC News.
Still in Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke has promised to study the recommendations of the Committee on Review of Traditional Institutions in the state. The governor stated this while receiving the report of the Reverend Bomi Jenyo-led committee. Governor's Office correspondent Abdurrahim Adekilikun has more.
Receiving the 4-volume reports from the chairman, Reverend Bomi Jenyo, Governor Ademola Adeleke thanked the committee chairman and his members for doing a thorough job. He thanked them for the tenacity of purpose with which they discharged their duties in the interest of the state. He promised that he and his team will study the reports and implement the recommendations with high sense of fairness, saying that his administration is not out to chaunt anybody, but to settle all imbroglios bedeviling the traditional council in the state. Senator Adeleke emphasized that his administration will be guided by strict adherence to the rule of law, due process, and the fear of God.
And I'm sure you have done a good job looking at detailed report that was submitted to me. I will take my time, with my team, and take a look at it. And I'm sure all the recommended details that you're putting there, I'm sure we'll put it to use. We're not here to respond anybody. We just want to make sure that Osun State is different from other states. That under my leadership, we will make sure that we have rule of law. We will make sure that we have due process. Anywhere there's no due process or rule of law, something will be accepted.
Presenting the report, chairman of the committee, Reverend Bomi Jenyo, commended the governor for the confidence reposed in them, saying that some traditional rulers presented petitions that do not fall within the mandate of the committee and were compiled for the attention of the incoming commissioner for local government and chieftaincy affairs.
We have done justice. We investigated, like I said, we look at the report. We have some petitions. We look at it critically and we did justice to it because we believe in equity, and that is the guide for our report. And we're being fair to all that was involved in the matter.
Also speaking, the secretary to the committee, Alhaji Mufta Oluwadari, lauded the governor for counting them worthy for the assignment. It has been Abdurrahim Adekileku reporting.
Workers in the service of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation have been admonished to redouble their commitment and dedication to duty more than they did in the outgone year. The Director General of OSBC, Mr. Rashid Falarami, gave the admonition at the inter-religious prayer organized to usher in the new year held at the open-air studio Ilawiye Okebale, Osogbo. Olaide Adegbero reports.
Of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, OSBC, organized an interdenominational prayer to commit the new year 2023 in the hands of God. Addressing members of staffs of OSBC at the annual interreligious prayer, the Director General of the corporation, Mr. Rashid Falarami, who thanked God for making it possible for the members of staff of the corporation to partake in the annual prayer. Also appreciated the members of the management for showing exemplary leadership, urging them to be more committed to make the system grow. The Director General commended the entire staff for their various contributions to the growth of the corporation, urging them not to rest on their oars in ensuring the public get the best in terms of quality broadcasting.
We performed well last year. I urge everyone to be more dedicated, to be more committed, and to be loyal to the state government so that their plans will get actualized.
Earlier in their sermon, Mr. Tunde Oguntomi and Mr. Oluwatoyin Yusuf, called on members to put their trust in God and devote themselves to worshiping their makers. The annual interdenominational prayer featured reading from the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran as prayers were offered for individuals' intentions, the corporation and the state, as well as the country at large.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has said that the COVID-19 Omicron sublineage is partly responsible for the current increase in COVID-19 cases in China. The United States and the United Kingdom have not yet been detected in the country. The NCDC disclosed this today in an update on COVID-19 genomic surveillance signed by its Director General, Dr. Ifedaya Adetifa. The update showed that the Omicron sublineage responsible for the rise in cases in the United States and United Kingdom is XBB.1.5, while BF.7 is responsible for the increased cases in China, but B.5.2.1 has been seen in Nigeria since last July. According to Dr. Adetifa, country-targeted travel restrictions, including requests for PCR negative tests from incoming travelers, had little or no effect on preventing global and national circulation of Omicron since the emergence of the variant and its relatives with their shorter incubation period. He noted that the resurgence of COVID-19 in China could be linked to the relaxation of the country's zero COVID-19 policy, as well as significantly increased COVID-19 cases, admissions and deaths in the affected countries over the past weeks, driven in part by the usual winter exacerbations of respiratory illnesses. They assured that the NCDC will continue to strengthen genomic surveillance of the COVID-19 virus in Nigeria. We now go on a commercial break. The major report continues in a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Glow Festival of Joy. It's a celebration like no other, with prizes like no other. 20 new houses to be won, 24 brand new cars, 200 sewing machines, 100 generators, 1,000 rechargeable fans. It's raining giddy got prizes this season in the Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# to enter and grab your share of prizes in this celebration of a lifetime. It can only be Glow. Glow Festival of Joy promo. Dial *611# now.
You're welcome back to the major reports. We now move on to our sports segment. Thousands of people gathered to pay their final respects to Brazil legend Pelé as a funeral procession carrying his coffin passed through the streets of Santos. Mourners lined up on the streets to say goodbye, with many wearing or holding Santos shirts bearing Pelé's name. In this special report, Omotayo Adebonyi takes a look at the life and times of the football king, Pelé.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento, popularly known as Pelé, was born on October 23, 1940, at Três Coracosa in Brazil. In his time, probably the most famous and possibly the best paid athlete in the world. He was part of the Brazilian national team that won 3 World Cup championships in 1958, 1962, and 1970. After playing for a minor league club at Bauru, Sao Paulo State, Pelé was rejected by major club owner in the city of Sao Paulo. In 1956, however, he joined the Santos Football Club and helped them win 9 Sao Paulo League championships in 1962 and in 1963, both the Libertadores Cup and the Intercontinental Club Cup. Pele became a Brazilian national hero after the 1958 World Cup and was declared a national treasure by the Brazilian government in order to ward off large offers from European clubs to ensure that he would remain in Brazil. On November 19, 1969, in his 909th first-class match, he scored his 1,000th goal. Pele made his international debut in 1957 at the age of 17, and the following year played his first game in the World Cup finals in Sweden. The Brazilian manager was initially hesitant to play him, describing him as a young star. Surprisingly, in the game, he had a hat-trick in the semi-finals against France and 2 goals in the championship game, where Brazil defeated Sweden 5-2. At the 1962 World Cup finals, Pele tore his thigh muscle in the second match and had to sit out of the remainder of the tournament. Nonetheless, Pele announced his retirement in 1974, but in 1975 agreed to a 3-year, $7 million contract with the New York Cosmos of the North American Soccer League and to promote the game in the United States. He retired after leading Cosmos to the league championship in 1977. By the fact that Pele wasn't entitled to earn any Ballon d'Or during his time, since he only played in the Brazilian league and the trophy was only given to European players. Pele scored 1,281 goals and won every award he earned throughout his playing career. Recognizing his great career, FIFA presented the late icon with the first ever Ballon d'Or Prix d'Honneur in Switzerland in 2014.
Moving on to the foreign scene, several people have been killed by 2 car bombs in Hiran region of central Somalia. A Makawais League spokesman for the local Mahas district, Farah Abdullahi, said that the blast also flattened houses and there were varying counts by militiamen and local officials. Al-Shabaab's media office has claimed responsibility in a statement, saying it had targeted apostate militias and soldiers. And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola, wishing you a beautiful night's rest.